What if I told you there is a place on this planet where a 60-year-old man has a 7 times greater chance of reaching 100 than someone in Japan, and a 10 times greater chance than someone in the United States? And what if I told you that the secret is not some expensive supplement or cutting-edge medical treatment? The secret is beans, and it's water, and the fact that a 90-year-old can still plant an orange tree and fully expect to eat the fruit. So I'm Kelsey Matheson. I'm one of the founders and owners of Anamaya Resort in Montezuma, Costa Rica. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I'm a life and business coach for women wellness entrepreneurs. And today we're going to talk about why Costa Rica, and specifically the Nicoya Peninsula, is considered one of the world's 5 blue zones, and what that actually means for your health, and why this little corner of the world has become one of the most sought after wellness destinations on the planet. All right, let's get into it. So first, what exactly is a blue zone? So the term comes from a research project back in 2004, where researchers were studying the areas of the world with unusually high concentrations of people living past 100. And they started circling these regions on their map with like a big blue marker. And the name just stuck, blue zones. And there are only 5 blue zones in the entire world. So I won't get into all of them or exactly where they are all located, because I'm going to talk about Costa Rica today. But basically there is one in Italy, there is one in Japan, there's one in Greece, there's one in California in the United States, and then there is the Nicoya Peninsula in Costa Rica. So here's what's fascinating. When researchers dug into why people in these places live so much longer, they discovered something that might surprise you. Only about 20% of longevity is genetic. So that means 80% comes down to lifestyle. What you eat, how you move, who you spend time with, and whether you have a reason to get out of bed in the morning. And that's actually great news, right? Because it means that we have way more control over our health and longevity than we might think. And the research on the Nicoya Peninsula is particularly robust because Costa Rica has had a civil registration system since 1883. So there's over a century of verified data showing that people in this region consistently outlive not just Americans, but people everywhere, and people everywhere else in Costa Rica as well. And a study from Stanford and UC Berkeley found that Nicoyan men specifically have a 20% lower death rate than the rest of their country. Like their cardiovascular death rates are 35% lower. And here's a statistic that I found really interesting. Nicoyan men born in the early 1900s who made it to 60 lived on average 8.5 years longer than the Japanese men of the same generation. I've spent a ton of time in Japan, and that's why I found it so fascinating, because Japan is famous really for its longevity. So researchers identified 9 shared habits across all blue zones. They call them the Power 9. And while all 5 blue zones share these principles, each one kind of expresses themselves a little bit differently. So let me walk you through how they show up in Nicoya. So number 1 is they move naturally. Like Nicoyans aren't going to the gym. They walk to the market, they tend their gardens, they're chopping wood, like they're moving all day, every day, and they're doing it well into their 80s and 90s, right? So it's not like exercise as a separate activity. Movement is just a part of their life. All right, and number 2 is purpose. In Nicoya, they call this plan de vida, translates basically to life plan. And it's essentially your reason for being, like it's why you wake up in the morning. And one researcher who was studying the Nicoyan centurions for like 15 years, they were the one that said, like, if you plant a tree in your 90s, you fully expect to eat the fruit, right? Like they're not counting down their final years. They're planning ahead. They feel needed. They're contributing to their community. And research suggests that this sense of purpose alone can add up to 7 years to your life. Okay, so number 3 is called downshift. You're downshifting. Basically, Costa Rica has a philosophy called pura vida. I'm sure you've heard it before. And it literally means pure life. But what it's really about is slowing down. It's about appreciating what you have. It's about not letting stress consume you. So in Nicoya, the afternoon coffee break is essential, right? There are community gatherings, there are faith-based services, or people are just sitting and talking with their neighbors, right? And these aren't luxuries. Like, this is built into their daily rhythm. And number 4 is the 80% rule. Nicoyans eat their biggest meal at breakfast, and they have a lighter lunch, and then they'll have a small, usually early dinner. And they also stop eating before they're completely full. And I actually learned about the 80% rule in Japan when I was staying and living in Japan. When you feel 80% full, you stop eating. And number 5 is called the plant slant. So about 70% of the traditional Nicoyan diet is plant-based, and it's centered on what they call the 3 sisters. So the 3 sisters are corn, beans, and squash. And this tradition goes back like 6,000 years. And the researchers who led the Blue Zone research called it the best nutritional combination for longevity that the world has ever known. And beans literally show up in almost every single meal. Like, they're the cornerstone. Beans are the cornerstone of their meals. And meat is eaten, but I would say it's eaten sparingly. Like, they eat chicken, they eat pork, but everything is prepared from scratch. Like, virtually zero processed food. And number 6 through 9 are all about community. It's about belonging to a faith-based group and putting family first and surrounding yourself with people who reinforce these healthy behaviors. And in Nicoya, multi-generational households are the norm, isolated in care facilities, they're needed. And in the center square of Nicoya town, there's a 500-year-old church with a gallery celebrating over 55 local centurions. It's like a living shrine to long life. So here's where it gets really interesting, because there are a couple of factors unique to Nicoya that you will not find in the other blue zones. And the first one is the water. Nicoya's underground water flows through limestone bedrock. And so that gives it the highest calcium and magnesium content of any water in Costa Rica. And a study analyzing over 3,000 water samples found a direct correlation between water hardness and longevity rates in people over 80. And one researcher literally said, it's in their water, right? They tend to have fewer fatal broken hips. Their bones tend to be stronger. And the other secret is their tortillas. I know that sounds funny, but stick with me here. Traditional Nicoyan tortillas are made through a process where the corn kernels are soaked overnight in lime water or wood ash. And this ancient indigenous technique infuses the corn with over 7 times more calcium. It releases unlocked nutrients within the corn and makes the protein more bioavailable. These are not tortillas that you are buying from the grocery store. It's literally a completely different food, from a nutritional standpoint, right? And here's the biological proof that all of this works. A huge study co-authored by Nobel laureate Elizabeth Blackburn found that Nicoyans have significantly longer telomeres than non-Nicoyans. So telomeres are the protective caps on your chromosomes that shorten as you age. Longer telomeres are associated with slower biological aging. And this was the first biomarker analysis of any blue zone population. And it confirmed what the demographic data had been showing for decades. So yes, my resort, Anamaya, is located in the Nicoya Peninsula. I feel very passionate about what we do at Anamaya because it's not just about offering a wellness retreat. We host, yoga retreats, wellness retreats all year round. But I think what is more important is that we are creating a space for people to actually experience these blue zone principles, right? To disconnect from the noise and reconnect to what really matters. And I would say that Montezuma itself is not like the rest of Costa Rica either. It sits on the southern tip of the Nicoya Peninsula, and getting there is a little bit inconvenient, right? There's a ferry ride and there's a drive, or you take a small domestic flight, right? There's no bank in town, and electricity didn't arrive until 1986. You can literally walk from one end to the other in about 15 minutes. And that is why it has stayed authentic over the years. While other beach towns in Costa Rica became overdeveloped or overrun with tourism, Montezuma has always kept its charm. And it started as a fishing village. And then in the 1960s, a Swedish conservationalist successfully lobbied to create Costa Rica's very first protected nature reserve. It's just down the road from Anamaya. It's called Cabo Blanco. And that single act catalyzed the entire national park system that Costa Rica is now famous for. Around the same time, a bunch of European artists started settling there, and they started establishing galleries and studios. And by the 1980s, travelers discovered it. And then what emerged is this really unique community that's a mix of locals, expats, and visitors. And they all actually interact. It's one of the things I love about Anamaya. It's not segregated the way so many tourist destinations are, where like the locals are over here and then the tourists are over here. Like everyone shops at the same stores, everyone eats at the same restaurants, at the same sodas. They show up at the Saturday market, like they go to the rodeos together. You know, there's 3 beautiful waterfalls within walking distance of the village. Howler monkeys wake you up in the morning. Humpback whales pass through from June to October. It's the kind of place where your nervous system just settles. And so we opened Anamaya over 16 years ago in December 2009. And from the very beginning, our intention was to create a space where people could experience real transformation. Like it's not just about a week of relaxation and they go back to their regular lives unchanged, but they actually shift something internally. They change at a cellular level. And I'm really proud to share that National Geographic just named Anamaya one of the world's best wellness destinations for 2026. And what National Geographic highlighted was that we blend traditional wellness practices, things like yoga and breath work and cacao ceremonies and farm-to-table meals with modern biohacking technologies like red light therapy and infrared sauna, cold plunging, heart rate variability analysis. And honestly, that combination is really intentional because here's what I've come to believe over the years of doing this work. The Nicoyans figured out the foundations of longevity thousands of years ago, right? Eat real food, move your body, have a purpose, stay connected to community. And modern science is just now catching up and validating what they've always known. So at Anamaya, we honor both. You can do a sunrise yoga class overlooking the Pacific and then track your HRV data in the afternoon. And you can learn to make traditional Costa Rican dishes or do a session in the infrared sauna, or do a cold plunge. It's not either or, it's all of the above. So if any of this resonates with you, and if you're feeling that pull towards something different, toward actually prioritizing your well-being and your longevity, instead of just talking about it, I would love for you to come and experience it for yourself. We run retreats every single week from Saturday to Saturday. Some are focused on resetting and some are focused on personal growth. We have yoga teacher trainings as well. We have women's wellness retreats. So there's something for you wherever you are on your health journey. And we'll make sure to put a link to our retreat calendar in the description so you can see what's coming up. You can explore all the different options and you can reach out to our team if you have any questions. And if you found this video helpful, please subscribe. I'll be sharing more content about blue zones and about health and wellness and longevity. So thank you so much for watching and I will see you in the next video. Ciao for now.